Okay, today we are playing a game on Oasis. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing one round as Genji before changing to Tracer for the rest of the game. And our current team composition is D.Va, Roadhog, McCree, Genji, Moira, and Mercy. So, pretty average, and there's not much to really say about it. I guess it's worth pointing out that we have two main healers rather than one main healer and off healer, which can make it more difficult to kill people, because the thing that Lucio and Zenyatta bring are that they make people easier to kill. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter overly so. Anyway, so we got a couple questions in the email today. First off, we've got, as Genji, I hardly ever feel like I'm contributing much to the team, whether because I'm not dealing enough damage or because I simply never find the openings to get them juicy dash resets. How should I position myself as Genji in order to maximize my damage and carry potential? Now, the thing that I've noticed with Genji is, unless you're a god, you generally don't do that much damage over the course of the game. It's fairly rare to see a Genji end up with gold damage, because usually the other DPS will do more consistent damage. Like, here we got McCree and Genji. I would expect McCree to do more damage than Genji over the course of the game. Now, however, Genji's got Dragon Blade, which is a fucking lot better than Deadeye, so there's that. Anyway, so it sounds like you're more interested in playing the more aggressive style of Genji, because there's like two ways you play Genji. You either hang out behind the enemy team all the time poking at people and trying to kill people, or you hang out more with your own team and you poke and prod at people, and then when you see an opportunity you dash in, dash back out again. I mean, how exactly you're going to position is going to depend on like the enemy team, because if you see like McCree, Roadhog, Winston, just gonna be kind of scary to like go into that, so you're gonna spend a lot more time like poking and prodding at people. But broadly, just like behind them and always trying. Now, the thing that Genji does have over like Tracer and Reaper is that Genji can harass from range, because the shurikens are a long range weapon. Now, granted, they're a long range projectile weapon that fires in like 3 shots, so it's not exactly easy to poke from range, but Genji can do that. So he's one of those heroes that can has a surprising amount of uptime if you're actually accurate with the shurikens. So, I mean, basically what you do is you sit behind them and you poke and prod at people, and if you see the opportunity to kill someone, you go in for it. But basically, you're just kind of harassing people with your shurikens. If you see the opportunity to kill someone, you like dash up for the 3 shurikens, the right click right in their face, and then kill them, dash back out again. But really what you're trying to do is you're just trying to poke at people as much as possible so that you can get to Dragon Blade. Because there's no guarantee that you'll be able to pick people off over the course of a game, right? Because that's sort of dependent on a few factors that might not ever actually come together. But Dragon Blade, you will build up just by poking at people, and then you go in with Dragon Blade and you kill fucking everyone, because Dragon Blade is really, really strong. And, I mean, it's one of those ultimates that's like, as long as you execute correctly, you generally just win the team fight. So, I mean, I would say, in general, don't be that concerned about not feeling like you're doing enough damage, because compared to other DPS, Genji doesn't do as much consistent DPS. Unless you are a god, which is the caveat. If you are a god, it doesn't matter, but we'll assume you're a mortal man. You're gonna not do as much damage as, like, a soldier, or a McCree, or a Pharah. But that's okay, because Dragon Blade's fucking strong. So, you know, just stay behind them, poke at people. If you see the opportunity to go in and kill someone, kill them. But don't worry about it too much, because Genji does a lot more spike damage than he does consistent damage. So, it's not the end of the world. The bigger thing is, like, finding openings to get, like, dash resets and kill people, but there's so many things that go into that it's hard to give, like, hard and fast rules for it, because it's basically just like, I mean, you look at it and you think to yourself, I can kill that guy. What I will say is, and I advise this with, like, all heroes, really, is play, like, way aggressively. Like, you were gonna, like, just go as hard as possible. And yeah, you're gonna go too hard, and you're gonna fuck it up, and you're gonna die. That's okay, though, because you just think to yourself, alright, that was too aggressive, maybe we'll pull it back a little bit next time. And then that ends up giving you a really good feeling for what your exact limits are on the hero, and then you'll be you'll be able to find more of these openings. It's hard to give, like, set rules for, like, how to pick someone off, because so many moving parts go into that. Anyway, number 2. I know a huge part of Genji's kit is his ultimate, however I have a hard time charging it up, mainly because I never find myself in a good spot to shoot and subsequently hit my shurikens. How can I improve on that, aside from getting good? I mean, there is obviously the getting good part of, like, you have to actually be able to land the shots, but basically, like, bully tanks if there's not very much for you to be doing at the time, right? Like, if you see the opportunity to be, like, going in and killing the support, that's great and all, but if the support is, like, super clustered in and hard to get to and there's people protecting them, you're not going to get to the person. So you fill time by harassing tanks, because tanks are all really easy to hit, with the exception of Zarya. She's a relatively small tank. She's still pretty fucking big, but, like, she's no Roadhog, you know? If you've got nothing better to be, and this is true of, like, all heroes, really. If you've got nothing better to do with your time, just bully someone who can't really do anything to you, right? Like, all of the DPS heroes want to be killing the supports. Really, that's their ultimate goal, is kill the supports and then kill the DPS. But that's not always plausible. So you fill time by harassing the tanks, because the tanks are generally not super threatening to you as long as you're playing around them, right? Now, the most threatening one is Roadhog, but that's based entirely around the hook. So as long as you're careful, Roadhog still doesn't kill you. All DPS can fill time while they're waiting for something to happen by just harassing a tank. And the idea is not really that you're gonna kill the tank, because the tank has to fuck up for that to happen. But during the time where you haven't really got anything better to do, you're building up really easy ult charge in the meantime, right? And most DPS have, like, really impactful ultimates. So really getting to Dragon Blade is probably not so much like missing shots and things like that. It's just that, yeah, when you recognize that there isn't really very much for you to be doing at that moment in time, you can't get to the supports for one reason or another, you can't get to DPS for one reason or another, you just fill space. And as long as you acknowledge, alright, I can't realistically do anything right now, I'm just gonna go bully the fuck out of that diva. And then you build up, like, a surprising amount of ult charge quickly by just bullying a tank around, right? And there's not much they can do about it, usually. You'd be surprised how quickly you can build up your ultimate if you just, like, sit and, like, throw all 3 of your shurikens into a diva or a Roadhog over and over and over again. It's really easy. They're really big and easy to hit. So, if you're having trouble getting to Dragon Blade, just try and, like, cut down on time you spend waiting around and, like, spend more time harassing people if there's nothing better to be doing. And Genji can harass people really easily because of the range on shurikens. And that was the only questions. The only questions, yes, they were. Alright, so we're just gonna start the game now. There's also no sound in the background today, by the way, because there is music playing in the video. You know how YouTube be, so there's no sound today. It's fine. It's whatever. So we're on University first. Pretty good map for Genji, because there's lots of, there's parts where verticality is, the fact that you can play around, like, the hole in the center, because you can easily go in and out of the hole, is, like, a surprisingly big thing on University, and we can get up here really easily as well. So we're going around the back to harass them right now. So we see immediately that they have a McCree, and they have a McCree, they have an Ana, and they have a Roadhog. So these things are all kind of scary to Genji, because if you get slept, you're dead. If you get flashbanged, you should expect to die, and if you get hooked, you're gonna probably die, right? So we gotta be careful about some things when we're going in to fight people. Mostly, McCree, because flashbang's the easiest thing to land. We also see they've got a Winston. Now, Winston isn't the end of the world for Genji, provided that you play around him, because as long as you can leave, he'll never kill you, right? So, here's, one thing. I really like just dashing out of here, because you can just, like, jump out of this pit, because you've got the double jump, and, like, just jump up there, climb out, because you don't, like, if you don't have to use, this is true of, like, any hero with a movement ability, you don't want to have to use your movement ability if you don't have to, and we dashed out of the pit. Alright, now Winston can just jump after us and run after us, and we won't get away from him, right, because now we have the same move speed. I kind of wish heroes did have differing move speeds, but because I feel like just like Genji should be faster than like Roadhog, but I mean, whatever. So if we just like jump out of the pit and then save the dash, this like whole awkward situation we end up in here doesn't happen. Because now he's just after us, and there's nothing we can do to get away from him because we need our dash to get away from him. It's true of all heroes. If you have a movement ability, you don't want to use it if you don't have to. Didn't have to dash to get out of the pit. Genji can just jump out of the pit. So, ends up leading to us dying. So the fact they have a Winston is not the end of the world for Genji. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to change off Genji because you see they have a Winston on the enemy team. Like with all counters in Overwatch, as long as you're playing around the fact they have your counter, it's not really the end of the world, because as long as you're playing around it, like, it doesn't matter. And it's not actually a counter unless they actually kill you, right? Like, you can be playing Winston and they can have the Reaper. Alright, Reaper counters you. If Reaper never kills you over the entire course of the game, Reaper didn't counter you, even though he was there, right? So anyway. So 2 of them are dead right now, which is great. We're sitting back here trying to harass this Lucio. It's hard to harass Lucio because he's he's infamously a rather annoying hero to try and kill, certainly. Just like, push like right up into the boy though, because like the whole point of using the right click is that it's like spike damage, so you want to get like right in there so it's really easy to land. You're basically trying to shotgun them into the person, which means you got to get like real close to the person if they're a small character. Fighting another Genji is a waste of time, basically. It tends to amount to not very much other than all parties involved were not very productive during that period of time, so you want to avoid fighting another Genji as much as possible. So we've got Dragon Blade. McCree just died, and it doesn't look like Moira's in a very good situation, so we don't really want to use Dragon Blade. We're going to use Dragon Blade. Alright, Mike, because the thing is we're already down a person, and Moira, she's not having a good time, right? Like, I'm not expecting her to live super long. She does actually look like she manages to get away with it. It's very surprising. The thing is, though, this fight's not going very well, and you generally don't want to commit ults to fights that are not really going very well, because the hand of Jeff has to reach down and bless you for you to actually, like, win the fight if you're at a numbers disadvantage. So, this is one of the things with, like, getting as much out of Dragon Blade as possible, is you kind of need to know what you're trying to do with it. Right? It's one of those ultimates that benefits a lot from just, like, some amount of planning going into it, right? Because the whole thing with Genji is that you have to chain dashes to kill people, right? Like, as soon as Genji doesn't get one reset in the middle of the fight, it all falls apart for him and his Dragon Blade ends up being way less impactful than it could have been. So, you gotta think, alright, what am I trying to do? Now, I'd think about using Dragon Blade right here, honestly, because I look at this, and I think to myself, alright, I could go, if I pull out Dragon Blade right now, I can dash over to Ana. Ana can't do much to stop me unless she lands a lucky trank on me, but that is literally just she gets lucky more than anything else. Because it's hard to hit Genji with the incredibly small projectile of the trank dart. So I'm thinking, alright, I could dash over here, get her. As long as I, like, go this way, McCree won't be able to flashbang me because I'll be too far away. I'll kill her. Then I'll dash over here, try and kill Lucio, unless he's disappeared by that point. If I can't see Lucio anymore, I'll instead go over here and start killing McCree. McCree's gonna flashbang, like, try and flashbang me while I'm killing Ana, so it's probably not gonna be much of an issue. And then at that point, it's gonna be like, I'll try and kill this boy or this boy, depending on who I can see. You gotta kinda think about what you're gonna do with the Dragon Blade, because it's important to know who you're going to dash to and who you're going to try and kill, and then where you're going to go after that. Because if you just pull it out and then dash in to kill somebody, but then you look around like, alright, what's next? You end up wasting time on Dragon Blade. And Dragon Blade, like, the whole thing about Dragon Blade is that you are extraordinarily powerful for a very small period of time. So it really helps to know what the order of events you're going to go through is. So I think about using it right here just because it looks like it'll be pretty easy to chain these people, because they're all kind of like sequestered off in their own little area right now. And Ana can't do much to save herself unless she gets lucky. So we pull it out here, and they're kind of like clustered together, but they immediately just like spread apart. And we kill McCree, like, killing McCree is cool and all, but I'm more interested in killing the supports, just always. Like, if you can get to one of the supports, they tend to be more impactful to kill than the DPS are, because as soon as the supports are dead, you usually just win the fight. By extension of the enemy team no longer has any staying power. But Roadhog kills a bunch of people with Whole Hog off of the momentum we go in with Dragonblade. So, great, it worked out in the end. If I was gonna pull it out, I would have pulled it out earlier. By the time we pulled it out, I would have said, alright, this fight's over. I'm just gonna save Dragonblade for the next fight. Unless Roadhog started using his ultimate, in which case I would then go, well, might as well go in and try and kill these people who are probably like half health now. So don't deflect Winston. There's a gut reaction where Genjis have, where as soon as anyone starts hitting them, they just start using deflect. There are quite a few heroes where deflecting doesn't really do anything. And now, because we use deflect poorly, we can't do anything about that. Why do we dash, also? What do we, dash away from? Just Winston. Fair enough. Probably didn't need to dash right there, honestly, because as soon as you jump you can just jump over that wall right there, and as soon as you're on the other side of the wall, Winston can't really kill you anymore, unless he's gonna jump over the wall into the point. But, like, he'll be jumping into your entire team at that point, and you will be getting healed, probably, so didn't really need to dash away from him there, either, which would have also mattered here, because then we could have dashed out of the way. Genji is this way, where if you use your cooldowns poorly, you can get punished very hard for it, because Genji is very based around his cooldowns. So anyway, the Genji section of the game is over now. We're playing Tracer. And I said the first round. I should have said part of the first round. Whatever, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So we now enter the Tracer segment of the game. Similar hero, but, slightly different. Much less good vertically, but we're, like, better at fighting people on their team as well, because, like, Tracer does kill Winston, which Genji really doesn't. Because Winston's head hitbox is basically the entire front of his model. Tracer's guns, she can fight Winston from outside of his range, so, like, assuming equal skill, the Tracer kills the Winston 10 times out of 10. Unless the Winston just leaves, which he should do. But Winston players are never want to admit that they're gonna die to the Tracer, I find. They always just they're always like, no, I counter Tracer, I'm gonna stay and fight the Tracer, and then they die to the Tracer. Because the Tracer actually does have the advantage in the one-on-one. So, first round's over now. Save for most of the first round, haha. Tracer does have the advantage in the Winston versus Tracer matchup. The reason that Winston counters Tracer is because while Winston will never kill the Tracer unless the Tracer fucks up, the Winston can zone the Tracer off of the backline, because the Tracer will die to the Winston if she is inside of his cannon range for any length of time. So suddenly, Winston sitting right next to the Mercy makes it a lot harder for the Tracer to kill the Mercy, because Winston's right there. He's going to be blocking for the Mercy while he's doing guaranteed damage to the Tracer. So that's the reason Winston counters Tracer. It's not because Winston kills Tracer, because the Tracer has to fuck up for that. It's because he can zone Tracer off of the supports. Which no Winston player ever does, because they're like, alright, I'm going to pick Winston so that I can counter the Tracer or the Genji, and then they just dive into the enemy team anyway and leave the backline to be molested by the Tracer anyway. So it never quite works out that way in practice, but that's the theory anyway. So now the principal difference between Tracer and Genji is that Tracer doesn't really have, like, much of a passive state, right? Because she can't really poke at people. So while Genji can be played, like, with your own team, harassing people with the shurikens, Tracer is not very good at that, because her range is very short, and she also is very fragile. So if she has short range that needs to be close to people, but she is not healthy enough to really be, like, on the front line. So she doesn't really serve being in her team very well, which Genji can do. Tracer's whole thing is like that, right there. That's why Tracer is good. This Ana is, like, basically full health. She just fucking dies. That's the thing with Tracer. You gotta get in there and, like, harass people and pressure them. This is the thing with Tracer. She's very good at applying, like, constant pressure to people. Now, McCree's very scary to approach because flashbang, so gotta be careful approaching the McCree if you don't know if his flashbang is up or down or not. If there's a hero on the enemy team that has an ability you have to play around, like Flashbang or Hook, but you don't know if they have the cooldown or not, you should really just play assuming they still have the cooldown, right? Because if they do have it up, and you assume they don't, you can die. So be careful approaching a McCree as Tracer, because unless you know his flashbang is down, in which case he's not really that scary to you anymore, unless the McCree is like actually a god. This is the caveat that goes with all Overwatch, really. If X is a god, it doesn't matter. But, fortunately, most people aren't gods. So we got tranked by the Ana, which is, of course, very terrible. All you can do in that situation is hold down E, and hope that she doesn't kill you before you get out of the crowd control. If you do hold down the button, it does activate recall as soon as it becomes available, which can matter in those situations, but assuming they execute correctly, you won't get the opportunity. So then, we come across the front line and get earth-shattered right in front of their team, which feels equally bad. So, we've not been having a good 30 or so seconds right now as Tracer. This is the way with Tracer, where, because she is so fragile, there is a very thin margin for error, where you can very suddenly just die. Can you believe that Zenyatta used to have 150 hit points? Can you believe that Zenyatta, floating cube hitbox, that has, like, no way to defend himself, used to have 150 HP? It was so... And also, Widow could do 150 damage on a body shot. So... talk about a fucking hard counter. She just had to hit Zenyatta, and he died. Oh my god. And Transcendence didn't have the speed boost either. So, Zenyatta was really fucking bad, really. Because he was this really fragile hero that you don't want to be anywhere near the enemy team, because if you are near them, they'd kill you. But... because you are playing really far away from people, but you have this ultimate that needs you to be really close to people, so you activate it from all the way over there, and you have to go at regular walking speed to get close to people. Oh, God, can you believe that he used to be that way? Isn't that just incredible? Also, McCree's seen a number of nerfs in his time, right? Because Fan the Hammer used to do 420 damage. I'm not joking, it did that. Like, and also, at one point, and they nerfed that sometime after release, there was also a point in time where his weapon had no fall-off damage. Now, the way this was on release, he had the fall-off damage, but Fan the Hammer did 420 damage. They changed that, they nerfed Fan the Hammer, but then gave him no fall-off damage. He remained OP, but for different reasons. There was a point in time, during closed beta, Fan the Hammer did 420 damage, and he had no fall-off damage. Can you believe the absurdity of that? McCree was a really stupid hero, and he was a really stupid hero for a really fucking long time. Fan the Hammer's too strong, he's just like one-shotting everyone. Alright, okay. Take that away. There's no fall-off damage now. Alright, so now he's one-shotting them from the other side of the map? So, he is, like, legitimately counters Widowmaker, despite having a fucking revolver for his weapon. Alright, maybe we'll put the fall-off damage back on now. Hooray, he's finally balanced. We did it. It only took, like, fucking 7 months, but we got there in the end. Overwatch is such a stupid fucking game. Oh my god. Anyway, so we're playing Tracer, right? So we're playing Tracer now. We've got Pulse Bomb. Pulse Bomb's really good because it's a guaranteed pick on a squishy target, mostly, assuming you stick them. Just a general thing, don't try and stick Moira unless you know Fade's on cooldown. Because let me tell you, I play a lot of Moira, nothing gives me greater joy than when a Tracer sticks me. Woo! It's just fucking on the ground now. What do you think about that? So be careful if you're going to use your sticky on a Moira, because Moira can really easily negate that one. So we use Recall here while we're at full health, which is less than ideal, because the thing is, when Recall is on cooldown, you have to play a lot more passively, because Recall is like how you get out of trouble. So, like, using it when you're not injured and you've got blinks left is generally a faux pas, because then while recall is on cooldown, you kind of have to be more passive. We recall here, like, a little bit early. You can wait until the Ana, like, hits you, right? Because Ana's not gonna kill you immediately if she shoots you, right? So you can play it a little bit braver there and save the recall, but at the same time, recall is this way where if you think you're going to die, you should just use recall. When in doubt, recall out, because it's more important you're alive than anything else. So if you think you're gonna die, just use it, but then it's a lot scarier when it's on cooldown. This is a fair enough time to stick the boy. If I'm to nitpick, right, you don't need to stick him. Like, I fully understand the sticking, but if I'm to really nitpick it, you don't need to stick him, and from the position we're in, it would actually be more efficient to just blink up right behind him and one-clip him. Because he's not looking at us, right? Even if he pivots to look at us, he is not gonna lock on to us before we kill him. So, if I am to nitpick, it's, you don't need to stick this boy. You can just come up and shoot him, and that would actually probably kill him slightly faster than doing that, which is, didn't matter in this situation, but killing a McCree slightly faster in Deadeye can be a big deal. And then if we didn't stick him, we could stick Ana instead. And then this situation right here doesn't happen. So, yeah, understand the sticking him. Didn't need to stick him from that position. Now, if you were in front of him when he started doing it, that would be more understandable, because he's locking on to you the entire time, right? So then, you blink up to the boy, throw it on his face, recall, he dies before you come out of the recall, right? So, or even if it, like, I think there's like a 0.1 second window where he can kill you after the recall, but like, let's be realistic here, it's not gonna happen. That's more understandable, but if you're behind the boy, it's easy. You can just come up behind him and one-clip him. And Tracer is this way. She does a fucking lot of damage. Like, point blank on someone. Oh my gosh, she fucking murders that boy. This is why also, if McCree uses flashbang in front of you and doesn't hit you, you should no longer be afraid of McCree, right? You should just get right up in McCree's face and, like, fuck him. Because suddenly, if you're right up on his face, that's really disorientating for the McCree to try and hit you, right? Because he's like, you're like right fucking there, and he's like, sit still, damn it. And he has to hit you twice. He's like a pretty big model, honestly. Like, he's not that hard to hit. If you see a McCree use a flashbang and you're playing Tracer, fucking go in on that boy. I play McCree, and nothing makes me sadder than when I miss the flashbang on the Tracer, because then I think, oh, she's gonna kill me now. And then she just goes in. And yeah, you can still kill the Tracer if you headshot her, or if you just hit her. Here's the thing though. When this tiny English woman is like blinking around, like literally right on top of you, it's a lot easier said than done. That's the thing that really tweaks me, right, with people, where they're like, why is the Farah not dead? Just shoot her, McCree. Oh, I had no idea it was so simple. Just shoot the Farah? Whoa. I had no idea. It really upsets me when people say that, because if it was as fucking simple as they think it is, Farah would be the most useless hero in the game, wouldn't she? Just shoot the Farah and she's no longer an issue. Alright, yeah. You change to Widowmaker and just shoot her and tell me how easy it is. Really, just shoot the Tracer. Alright. You pick McCree and do that. You show me how easy it is to just shoot the Tracer. And then suddenly, weirdly enough, they never want to do it. It's strange that. Fucking hate the Overwatch community. God damn it. What are we doing right now? What are we doing right now? Alright, so we just go out onto the center of the point. Now, people usually go around the outer edge of the point first, because they usually go and fight over the grav lift. So it's a little bit surprising to just find people on the point that early. In general, on, King of the Hill maps, fighting on the point right at the start tends to not be very productive, because it doesn't even unlock for 30 seconds. So anyway, we're on the Mercy right now, as you do. We do not recall in time to survive this. So that's, this is sad. We are right next to a lot of their team. So you gotta be ready to, like, push the key very quickly. Tracer, I mean, that's just Tracer in general, though, where, like, because you die so quickly, if you're fighting, you gotta be ready to push the E key very fast. Cause, you can die very quickly. I will say, that this is one thing that I had, some people have recommended with Tracer that I've seen recently. They recommend rebinding Pulse Bomb to Shift for Tracer. And the reason for that is no human being in existence actually pushes Shift to blink, right? Everybody pushes right click to blink. So the reason being is that, like, if you just it's like a less cumbersome movement, basically. It's slightly easier to maneuver if you are pushing Shift to use Pulse Bomb instead of Q. This is a very personal thing. You know, key bindings in general tend to vary a lot from person to person, but I've seen quite a few people recommend rebinding Pulse Bomb to Shift because it's easier to keep moving around, basically. Anyway, so we use recall here, and I'm pretty sure we were full health. We were. I think we thought we got hit by the fire strike, or we were going to get hit by the fire strike. That's what it looked like anyway, so I'll assume that's what it was. You know what they say about assumptions, but I'll assume, anyway, that was the reason for it. So we're spending a long time, like, going around over here right now, and, like, the thing is, with doing, like, that kind of movement, is it takes a long time to get into position, and if you don't get anything out of it, it's really bad, because you've just removed yourself from the fight for a really long time. So if you're gonna spend this real long, like, maneuver around the backside thing, you gotta be pretty sure you're gonna get something out of it, right? Because, like, we go all the way up through the grav lift and back down, and, like, it takes a long time to do that. And there was nobody up the grav lift, so we didn't need to go all the way up there. So here, we use recall early again. And we're also low on blinks, so we end up... It gets kinda scary, because Winston is right there. And we weren't actually that wounded yet when we used recall. In general, you also want to avoid, like, being completely out of blinks. Like, managing resources as Tracer is kind of important. Miss the Pulse Bomb, you know, whatever. I don't like to comment on mechanical stuff, really, like aim better, or land the fucking Pulse Bomb, because it's pointless, right? Someone the other fucking week at this point was like, aim better was legitimately the best advice you could give them. I was like, no, it's fucking pointless advice, dude. Like, look, right? Take that, put it over the person's head. Easy. That's why they pay me the big coach money. That's fucking muscle memory. You can't tell, like, get better muscle memory is like one of the most pointless things you can possibly say to another human being. So I don't like to talk about mechanical stuff. Aim better, you fucking pleb. Fuck. Oh my god. That's like one of the worst kind of insults to fuck up saying, isn't it? You fucking pleb. You fucking peb. Oh, I'm a peb, am I? Well, anyway. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's one of those days, you know? So we're gonna bully this Reinhardt right now. Tracer is pretty good at killing tanks because she does, like, a lot of damage, actually. The thing is, she is fragile. Like, look, he's dead now. 71% of it. Nice. So we've got Pulse Bomb built up, which is a very cool ultimate. It also charges very quickly. Pulse Bomb is one of those ultimates where you, like, really want to get it out there as soon as you've built it up, because you build another one up so quickly. And Pulse Bomb is, like, largely a guaranteed pick. So, like, honestly, just, like, one of those situations where you want to just hold down the recall button, and, like, I'm pretty sure we would have recalled to save more health. Very good patience. Don't give away the fact that we're sneaking up on the Mercy to try and kill her. Cool stuff. Unfortunately, we missed the Pulse Bomb, which, you know, aim better. That was probably one of the most productive D.Va ultimates I've ever seen in my entire life. God damn, look at that. Fucking thank the Lord. D.Va's here. So, what I will say about the attempted stick on the Mercy is that things are going pretty badly at this point, so there's the case that it's better to hold the Pulse Bomb for, like, this fight that's happening right now, because this one might have a better chance of succeeding. It functionally doesn't matter, because both fights are pretty fucked, so it likely doesn't matter. Hey, Total Recall. Nice Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. So we get fucked. It's one of those fights where by the point it gets to that, it's kind of already over. So like, no play of the game. No, no fun. Oh look, recommended videos. What have we got today? So we got an advanced tracer guide. Diva. I use this ability wrong. That's not clickbaity at all, is it? Animation canceling combo, don't bother. Blizzard hates that shit. Dangers of essential oils. Okay. No, yep, never watched a Minecraft video in my life. Mistake, yeah? These are all very clickbaity titles. That's, this is, I don't know where, like, some of this shit comes from. Like, do I strike you as the kind of man that's, like, into this homeopathic bullshit? The fact I phrased it like that should probably tell you my thoughts on it. So, I can't really think of, like, one overarching thing that, stood out in this game, but, there's a lot of, like, things we talked about as they were happening, so I'm not gonna belabor it anymore, especially since this is a long video for a fucking 13-minute video. I've just looked at how long we've been here. That's what happens when I go off on these weird trains of thought every, like, 3 minutes. It's just been one of those days, So thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you felt I answered your questions from the email inadequately, please let me know. I will try to expand further. Join our Discord if you haven't already. You can ask questions more directly and have, like, a conversation about things. Or just shitpost with us. You know how it be. So, and I hope you found the video helpful.